What's up everybody? It's finally here. The iPhone 12, 12 Pro. Alright, let's go ahead and unbox the iPhone 12. Now, the biggest difference between this packaging and Apple's previous packaging on their iPhones is the obvious exception that they no longer include the charging brick with the box. Now, this may be a big deal for some people, but it's actually really interesting and really cool for Apple. They get to save a lot of space on their trucks. They get to get rid of a lot of waste around the world because they don't have to include that anymore, and so it makes the packaging really tight and small. Now, as you can see, the iPhone 12 is gorgeous. It has that beautiful finish. It comes in 5 different colors. It's a little bit thinner than the iPhone 11. You get your charging cord still, which is really nice, and nothing else pretty much. You get the little SIM card ejector, Apple sticker, and instructions, all in one nice little package. I've been playing with the iPhone 12 Pro for about a week now, and I've honestly got to say that it's probably my favorite iPhone that Apple's made. Really have to hand it to them. They've designed a beautiful product, it works really well, and the features that come with it are awesome. The real question though is it worth it? Do I upgrade from my iPhone 11 or my iPhone 8 if you're still rocking one of those? Is it worth the price that I pay to get the iPhone 12 or 12 Pro? And we're going to dive into that today. 5G is going to allow us to do some incredible things that were never possible on 4G or LTE, such as remote surgeries with robots, automation via self-driving cars, and other applications that require incredibly fast speeds and reliability. However, 5G isn't everything that it's touted to be. Over this last week of me testing in various places here in Utah, I've had some pretty poor coverage. I'm on T-Mobile specifically, and 5G is just, in my mind, not quite ready for the big time. It's going to take a few years until all of the carriers catch up to the hype that 5G has been touted as. It really is incredible. There were times that I was getting 2 or 3 times the download speed that I would get here at home, usually around 300 megabytes download and upload, which is incredibly fast for a mobile device. But at home, I'm only getting 20 or 30 megabytes down, which is crazy. 5G is supposed to be this insanely fast new feature on the iPhone, and it's just not quite there. Now, the disclaimer is that Apple isn't at fault here, and ultimately it comes down to carriers to kind of beef up their infrastructure and catch up with what everybody expects 5G to be. Another thing about 5G that drives me crazy is that Apple decided to put the 5G antenna on the side of the phone that is typically on the right-hand side. Now, not everybody's right-handed, but most of the population is. And so the 5G antenna, which is actually right here, this little guy right here, gets covered as soon as you put the phone in the palm of your hand. So if you're on a phone call, if you're texting, right, watching a movie, whatever the case may be, you're covering that 5G antenna. And the signals on 5G don't penetrate as well as they do or did on 4G. Typically, even putting a sheet of paper in between the two is enough to disrupt the signal. So I'm very curious how this will hold up long term as more testing goes on to determine if that's actually a hindrance, having your hand on this side of the phone. I know it has been for me personally. As I've tested this, I've actually had videos that will pause and buffer on 5G with perfect signal, simply because there's interference probably from my hand, maybe when I'm in the car, or the walls that it has to travel through. And so that's one thing that I found very interesting with 5G on the iPhone. Next, let's talk about the body of the iPhone 12 and 12 Pro. New design is fantastic. I think it looks stunning. It goes back to the iPhone 4 era where we've got the non-rounded edges anymore. It feels really solid in your hand. One thing that I have noticed though on the iPhone 12 Pro specifically is it gets so smudgy on the side because it's built of steel. And it really detracts from the entire experience, because on the back you have this beautiful matte finish, which doesn't really allow for fingerprints to get on, but you do have that happen all the time on the side. Now with the iPhone 12, on the other hand, it's actually reversed. So it's made of aluminum on the sides, and so not a lot of fingerprints get on there, but the back is not matte, it's actually gloss, and so you can very easily get your fingerprints all over the back and really taint this awesome view. The iPhone 12 now comes in 5 beautiful colors, but very quickly can get fingerprints on it if you're not careful. A case is definitely recommended if that's something that you really don't want and you want to avoid, is getting fingerprints on there. But I just love these colors. I love the way that it looks. They are a little bit thinner as well, although they feel exactly the same size-wise as the iPhone 11. The iPhone 12 and 12 Pro also now come with a ceramic shield, which has a 4 times boost in drop performance. Now, I haven't tested this myself. I don't really want to, but I believe it. Ceramic is much more difficult to break or scratch than glass is. And the iPhone 11 had a really durable glass front. Now, I was able to scratch up and scuff my previous phone, the iPhone 11 Pro, a few times. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing if the iPhone 12 Pro actually lasts longer and is more durable on the front display. Let's talk about the performance of the phone itself with the new A14 bionic chip. This chip is a beast, allowing you to take on any workflow or task that you can throw at it. Now, at the end of the day, it is a phone, and so you're not going to be doing anything insanely crazy on this device. However, it does lend itself to be able to perform really well under pressure, allowing you to do things such as augmented reality, large photo and video editing on device, and intensive graphical games that weren't possible before. This chip hasn't given me any problems whatsoever. It has just been a breeze to play with. Everything opens, it's super snappy. One thing that is very interesting about these new devices, though, is I believe we're to a point of maybe diminishing returns on the actual snappiness of the device itself when it comes to opening applications, reading your mail, things that you would normally do, simply because at some point you can't notice a difference anymore in speed, right? An app opens, and whether it's 0.5 seconds or 0.52 seconds, you can't really see. And so the brand new A14 Bionic chip is incredibly quick. I don't see a huge boost with that compared to the previous year's iPhone. Let's go ahead and talk about the iPhone 12's new display, the Super XDR Retina display, which is an OLED screen. Now, this is the, in my mind, crowning jewel of the new iPhone 12 if you previously had an iPhone 11 or older. The iPhone 11 and older actually had an LCD screen, and it does not compare to the brand new Super Retina XDR display on the iPhone 12. And I'll go ahead and break that down a little more when we do the side-by-side comparison of these devices, but it is absolutely insane, the brightness, the contrast, and the pixel density that these new screens have. Now, the iPhone 11 Pro last year did have this new screen as well. So there's the piece that makes it, in my mind, worth the upgrade from an 11 or later to the iPhone 12 or 12 Pro. They both share the same screen, but it is a huge difference from last year's screen. While we're here, let's also talk about the camera. It's literally the same. The iPhone 12 Pro and the iPhone 11 Pro have the exact same camera, with one small exception, that the wide camera on the back has a slightly quicker aperture, which means that you're going to be able to get more light into your photos. However, in testing and seeing other professionals shoot with the iPhone, there's actually not a lot of difference between one or the other in quality. The iPhone 12 Pro's camera didn't make a lot of leaps and bounds this time around, which doesn't make it a great contender for being able or requiring an upgrade. So at the end of the day, what's the verdict? Do I upgrade to the iPhone 12 or 12 Pro? I think it ultimately depends on what your current device is. If you're running an iPhone 11 Pro, I say it's not worth it. The specs are too close when you compare them side by side that it doesn't necessarily make sense to switch just yet. 5G isn't quite where it needs to be at the moment, and the chip difference, again, I don't know necessarily what kind of applications that you're going to be loading onto this device that you would need the A14 Bionic chip for. I could be wrong. There may be something amazing out there, and there's certainly professionals who use their phones more so than others for in-depth workflows and things of that nature that may benefit from upgrading. However, an iPhone 11 Pro to an iPhone 12 or 12 Pro upgrade does not make sense. Now, if you're running an iPhone 11 or older, I think that it's a very worthy upgrade. You're getting 5G, which, although it's not there yet, it's a hypey feature. It's kind of fun to see at the top of your phone every single day. You do get the amazing A14 Bionic chip. You get the ceramic shield display. You get, if you're upgrading from an older phone, you get that new XDR display with an insanely improved contrast and depth of color. And the phone just feels good. It's definitely one of the better phones that Apple has created. And so if you're running on an older device, I say go for it. If you're running on the iPhone 11, 11 Pro specifically, I think that you should maybe wait until next year's iPhone comes out.